Welcome to the Rise of the Trades podcast, the show dedicated to helping you to build, grow, and scale your trades or construction business. All rise for your host, Craig Wilkinson.
Welcome to this week's coaching episode of the Rise of the Trades podcast, where we help trades and construction business owners to skyrocket leads, explode net profits without having to graft 60 hours a week and becoming that busy fool. In this episode, I'm going to be teaching you why it's absolutely vital that you take more time out and off of your business than ever before to avoid burnout, but get this, still increase your profit margins while working less hours. But before we go there, I'd just like to remind you that you've now only got 3 weeks before our Rise of the Trades Summit. So if you've still not secured your ticket for this unique networking, coaching and motivational event held in Sheffield, where our members and listeners to this episode come from all over the UK to spend the full day with me, then you need to get your tickets now. The link to secure one of the remaining tickets is in the show notes and description of this episode. Now, let's transition over to this week's coaching episode. Now, I've decided to record this episode because I've literally just got back from another best part of being 3 weeks away on holiday in Crete with my family. Chilling out, relaxing, recharging my batteries and getting my mindset back into the place that it needs to be. Now, whilst I've been away, I've done absolutely nothing. And the reason why I've done nothing and chose to do nothing is because my head sometimes feels like it's going to explode. And we're constantly on the go, business, personal life, hobbies, family. We're always on the go. We never seem to take any time out of our businesses to recharge those batteries. And whilst I've been away, I've chosen to put the odd social media post out. And if you go and look at my personal Facebook page and our Trades Freedom Club group, you'll see that the post that I've put out, people have said to me, Craig, you're always on freaking holiday, you. Every time I seem to see you, you're away on holiday. It's all right for you, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it's not all right for me. I make this happen. I choose to take time out of my businesses because I need the headspace and I need time to relax and recharge. And I know what goes through people's minds because I used to say it myself. And you'll be saying, Craig, it's all right for you, but I can't afford to take time out of my business. If I'm not working, jobs aren't getting done. Invoices aren't getting paid. The money's not coming in. The business relies on me. So, yeah, it's all right for you going away and having your 3rd family holiday away, but I can't afford to do that, and I certainly ain't got time to take out my business to do it because everything grinds to an halt. And I get it, because for the first 12 years of me running my joinery and construction business, I'd become that busy fool that I talk about, and I'd become a slave to my business, and I used to fucking dread. Honestly, I used to dread going on holiday when most people should be excited about taking themselves or their husband, wife, partner, kids on holiday. I used to dread it because I knew that while I were away, my phone would be ringing, I'd be getting emails, I'd be getting text messages from my customers and my team, and I wouldn't be able to have an holiday. And you know what it's like when you're away and you answer a phone call or respond back to an email where there's a problem, you can't get that out of your head then. And when you should be spending quality time with your family, and relaxing. You're now pacing round pool, trying to sort out problems and put out fires from back home. And I used to dread it. And then I'd get back home and holy hell had broken loose. There'd be things gone wrong on jobs. There'd be lads not turned up on jobs, and I'd be having customers giving me grief saying, you told me that they'd be coming on Tuesday. They never turned up. Materials hadn't been ordered for jobs. Things had not gone right. And this is only a week. Never mind almost 3 weeks like I've just been away for. So I get it. I totally understand it. But what I'm here to say is we've got to take time out. Because I used to think that working 6 days a week, 7 days a week was like a badge of honour. And honestly, I remember being outside builders merchants, I think it was Jewson's, Travis Perkins, something like that. And people had said to me, Craig, you must be busy. I see your vans all over at show. And I'd be, yeah. Got loads of work on, pulled out with it, can't keep up with it, looking for more joiners, looking for more plasterers. Do you know any? We're having to work 6 days a week, 7 days a week. I can't cope. Me thinking, the Billy Big bollocks, that having all that time and stress looked like I was growing my business, and it looked like to me that it were a badge of honour showing other people how good and busy we are. And I couldn't have been further from the truth, because that has got The Prisoner and The Busy Fool wrote all over it. And I thought growing my business meant that I had to work stupid hours, that I couldn't take time off. And if I did take time off, have you ever felt this one? Have you ever felt that emotional trigger of guilt? Because I used to, when I used to take a bit of time off, I used to almost feel guilty that I weren't working, and that I weren't working 6 days a week. And I'd feel guilty that I'm not staying up till 10 o'clock at night doing my paperwork, my quotes and my invoicing. And that fear of guilt would kick in. And I'm like, hang on a minute, this is not right, This is not a business that I've built. This is just a hard job where I'm now a prisoner inside this business because I can't even afford to take a week off without it all going to shit. Now, as your coach, and as you know, if you listen to my episodes, or you're a Growth Club member, Inner Circle member, or just part of our Free Trades Freedom Club group and community, you'll know that I'm always honest, open and transparent. And what I'm about to say now, I'm not saying it because I want to be Billy Big Bollocks again, or I feel, or I'm some kind of superior person, because I'm not. I'm just a joiner that's learned how to build, grow and scale businesses. So I've now come back from the best part of having 3 weeks off. And I've come back, I've not had to do any work whilst I've been away. And when I've come back, I'm recharged, I'm fired up, I'm pumped up, I'm motivated. But when I've looked at my bank balances of all 4 of my businesses, I've come back to more money in my bank than I did before I went. But how can that be? How can that be that I can go away for 3 weeks, chill out, the business runs itself, and I come back to more money in the bank than I did before, yet some people can't go on holiday for a week because the business relies on them, and if they do go on holiday for a week, just like what happened to me, everything used to go to shit. And I know for sure that there'll be some people that are saying, do you know what, Craig? I'm in that position that you used to be in, and I've got absolutely no idea how to get out of that position. So in this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the number one thing that you've got to wrap your head around when it comes to scaling a business. And it's not about working your bollocks off and grafting more hours than anybody else and having this badge of honour. In fact, it's the complete opposite. And it's about working less hours, getting more time back, reinvesting that time back into yourself so that you can come back into your business pumped up, fired up and motivated, just like I am now. You see, when I go away, my team dread it when I come back Because while I'm away, although I'm not working, I don't switch off. And as much as I love my time with my family and my kids, and I have all that nice downtime and we're jumping in pool and doing everything else that we've done, there are times where I'm sat there and my mind just starts ticking. And while I'm relaxed and I've got no distractions, I start thinking about the future vision of my businesses. So whilst I'm away, although I'm not working, the time that I've got while I'm chilling out by myself, I'm constantly thinking about the business. And the reason why my team hate it when I come back off holiday is because I come back and I call a team meeting and I go, right, boom, this is what's happening next. Bang, that's the next plan. That's the big vision. Come on, let's all get on it. And the reason being is my head's clear while I'm away. I've got time to think. I'm not dealing with phone calls, emails, text messages, WhatsApp, my team. I've got fresh time to chill out, relax, recharge, but rethink and clear that head and give myself some headspace of what I'm doing. Because sometimes when you're caught in the rat race at 100 mile an hour, you can't see the woods for the trees. So I've come back, and I'm not technically back yet. This is Bank Holiday Monday as I'm shooting this podcast to make sure that it goes out on Wednesday. But tomorrow when we have our team meeting, I'm going to be sharing with them what the plans are for the business, how we're going to move into new offices, how we're building a brand new media, video and podcast studio, how we're going to be taking on another member of staff to deal with our social media, how we need to bring somebody else in to do the sales side because we can't cope with leads and inquiries that are coming in. Now, my team don't even know that, but that's what's gone off while I've been away. I've given myself some breathing time to be able to look at the bigger picture and look at the bigger plan rather than being on that hamster wheel running 100 mile an hour day in, day out, where all you seem to do is firefight. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, what I want you to think about is this, and get this concept in your head. Think about athletes as an example. And there's athletes out there that are training for world championships or next Olympic games, right? Take a sprinter, for example, and they're doing 100 meter sprint. They're training for years and years and even decades in some instances. And all they've got to do is fucking run 100 meters. It's 10 seconds. That's all they've got to do. They've got to get out at blocks and cross that line in 10 seconds. It's 100 meters. That's it. But regardless of what they are training for or what sport they're in, they're not training 7 days a week, are they? They're not. What's built into their training is rest days. And these rest days are as important to them as what it is when they're pumping iron in gym, whether they're sprinting down that track, whether it's the diet or the psychology coaching that they're getting. It doesn't matter what they do. They have rest time and downtime built into their training program because the downtime is as important. And if all they did were train for 5, 6, 7 days a week and be at it constantly, what's going to happen to the body? What's going to happen to the mind? It's going to burn out. So given the fact that we know that Olympic champions build time in to their training for rest time and rest days, but ultimately they're still going to win the race and get the end result that they're training for, do you not think it makes sense that us as business owners that are constantly on it, you're on the starting blocks every morning, you're out of the traps, you're trying to cross that finishing line, but in the process of doing that every day, we're dealing with team, we're dealing with problems, we're dealing with systems, we're dealing with marketing, we're dealing with employment, we're dealing with team not turning up on a job, we're dealing with mistakes made by team, we're ordering materials, we're surveying jobs, we're pricing jobs, right? Just to list a few things that you do on a weekly basis. So if you've got lots and lots of customers coming to you and you're doing all this for multiple different customers, that's like an Olympic sprinter training 7 days a week to win that race. You've got to put some downtime into your schedule for headspace, recharging them batteries and realigning where you are. And once I understood this concept and I started implementing and putting things into place in my business, in other words, all the strategies that I share with you in these podcasts, when I started doing that, I started to see results. And then when I start to take time out of my business and that downtime to recharge, all of a sudden I'm thinking, hang on, I'm getting more done here in less time. My businesses are making more profit now than they've ever done before, yet I'm working less hours. How does that work? Well, the analogy is the same as the athlete. And until you get to the point where you realise you've got to put time into your default diary for time out, the longer you keep going at it 100 mile an hour, 5, 6, 7 days a week, the longer it's going to take you to win that race. So in this next chapter, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 negative impacts of you not choosing to take time out. Negative impacts on yourself, negative impacts on your business. And I know what these are because I've been through it. And particularly my inner circle members, when they start my inner circle, they're in this position now where they've got this negative impact happening because they're putting time and graft into the business, but they're doing it in the wrong way and in the wrong places. So grab a notepad, grab a pen, and let's get stuck in. So let's look at the pain of never taking time out of your business. And here are the 5 main pain points. Number 1 is what we've just been talking about: burnout and declining performance. If you never take a break, your energy just crashes. You start making silly mistakes on site, you forget things, and you cut corners without even realising it. When you're up early in the morning, and most people might get up at, let's say, 6 o'clock, you get up, you're checking your emails, you jump into your van, you might go and pick some materials up, organise some labour, get to job, get your tools out, work all day on tools whilst dealing with emails and phone calls throughout the day. Then once you've finished, and you probably don't finish till 5 or 5 to make sure you get that job done, you come back, quick something to eat, sit down with your family, half an hour, have your tea, laptop's back open, working till 10 o'clock at night, and then you get up next morning. That vicious cycle repeats itself time and time again. So this burnout and this declining performance is inevitable, isn't it? Because nobody's a robot, nobody can work at 100% efficiency all the time. So what happens? We start to get tired, we start to make mistakes, things start to overrun. I've done that in past where I've gone to a job and a simple thing like putting a stud wall up, I've put a stud wall up, got to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, thought, fucking hell, I've put stud wall up in the wrong place. So silly little mistakes start to creep in, and that's now costing you time and money, because what you've got to do now, in my case, I'd have to take the wall back down, redo it again, so now I'm behind on the job. The job's costing me time and money. And all this is happening because I'm knackered. You know, here's me thinking, if I work through my lunch break, or I work till 6 o'clock tonight, or to put a Saturday morning shift in to try and catch up, here's me thinking that's actually going to benefit me. When long term, all this burnout and this declining performance is mounting and mounting and mounting. And at some point, bang, you hit a brick wall and you've got to start all over again. Pain point number 2 is poor decision making and missed opportunities. And when you're constantly firefighting and you're knee deep in shit, you don't look at the long-term vision, you're only looking at the short-term vision. And the short-term vision for some people is literally either get through that day, get through that week, or get that job done. And then what happens then is we don't give ourselves any downtime. So what happens next? We're on to the next job, and then we're on to the next job, particularly when you start to scale and you've got no systems in place. And a lot of this is relying on you. You don't get any time. So you're on to that next job, to the next job, to the next job, next customer, next customer. So what starts to happen? We start to make poor decisions because we haven't allowed time to chill out and make the most important decisions moving forward. So we make these rash decisions that then eventually come back to bite us in the arse because we made the wrong decision whilst we were under pressure, whilst we're feeling overwhelmed. And missed opportunities, there's been times over the years where even simple things like checking emails, like enquiries and leads would be coming in to our inbox, but because I was rushing around and I didn't have any dedicated time out of the business or dedicated time in my default diary to deal with new leads coming in, I know for a fact that my inbox were full of potential jobs, but because I was rushing around, they just sat there, therefore basically handing my competitors more work because we got missed opportunities. And like I've already said, I've been sat there for 3 weeks in Crete, chilling, and now I'm thinking, okay, I've got a clear head, I've got some headspace, the businesses are at the level that they are. What's the next long-term vision? What's the 12-month vision from now? And here's me, I got my notes out on my iPhone, and here's me creating the new vision for 4 businesses while I'm away. I've come back and I've got that vision, and that's all going to get shared this coming week. And that vision, when we put it into fruition, is going to end up making the businesses even more profitable and streamlining the businesses even more and growing and scaling the businesses even more. Why? Because I've given myself time out to look at the long-term vision, and I'm not just firefighting, dealing with the day-to-day or the week-to-week operations of the business. Pain point number 3, damaged health and well-being. Look, running a trades business is tough, both mentally and physically. And the amount of impact that this has on our bodies can be catastrophic long term. So by working these long hours, by being stressed out, by having a lack of sleep, because for some of you, you'll be going to bed late and then getting up early. For some of you, you'll be knocking beer back or a bottle of wine back at night to knock yourself to sleep. All this lot takes its toll on our mental health and well-being. So is there any wonder that we see people, tradesmen and women in the 40s, they've got bad backs, high blood pressure, fucking anxiety, stress levels are through the roof. Joiners have got bad knees, plasterers have got bad arms and elbows and all this lot because we're hammering. We're hammering our bodies and not giving ourselves time to recover. Go back to the Olympic sprinter that I've just said. The Olympic sprinters, when they're training in gym or they're running down track or whatever it is they're doing, they've got to give the bodies a rest. But for us, trades, because it's our day-to-day business and it's what we do to make money, we don't seem to give our bodies a rest. We don't take the right amount of sleep on board. So we're stressed out all the time. Bad diet, alcohol, drinking too much alcohol. Takeaways every 5 minutes because it's quick and easy option. So our diet's all over the place. Because we're always busy, our hobbies like going to the gym, as an example, falls by the wayside. Some of you used to play five-a-side football. Some of you used to do golf. All these hobbies that were keeping you fit and active, they've gone. Now what starts to happen? We start to clap weight on, we get a beer belly, we get man boobs, we start to feel sluggish because the poison that we're putting in our bodies, such as the alcohol consumption or the dodgy diet that we've got, is now having a negative effect on us. So now we're starting to put weight on, we're starting to get sluggish, and all that lot is having a negative effect on our health and well-being. Pain point number 4, broken relationships and family resentment. And this one hurts. I've lost count of how many trades business owners that I've worked with over the years that have told me, do you know what, Craig? I wish I'd have spent more time with my kids when they were younger. And I've missed out on all them memories chasing this dream and chasing this business and working all these hours. Your family do not care how many extensions you build or how many boilers you've installed that month. All they care about is having some quality time with the mum or with the dad, right, at a weekend, or visiting them at their school nativity play, or taking the son to football training and watching him play on a Sunday morning, or taking the daughter to gymnastics and then going to the gymnastics competitions. All your kids, husbands and wives want is quality time. And if you don't take that time off, the people that you're doing all this for start to resent you, and your business starts to fail because you're emotionally challenged by relationship breakdowns at home. And I sadly have had first-hand experience in all this, because here's me years ago, back in the 90s, building, growing and scaling a business for me and my family, working every hour God sends, being that ultimate busy fool, thinking that's what I had to do. And ultimately, it cost me my marriage. And I would not want anyone to go through what I've been through during that period where it cost me everything. So I've had first-hand experience of what this feels like. And I've got 4 children. 2 of them are now in their early 30s. And I'm a granddad, and a proud granddad of 3 grandkids. I've got a daughter who's just turned 19, and she's got a boyfriend now. She's got a job now. She's out there. She's got her own little life. So I don't see as much of my 19-year-old. And then I've got my 13-year-old daughter, who's my youngest. And in a blink of an eye, it's got to a point now where I'm thinking, where has all that time gone? Where has that time gone with my family and with my kids over all them years? Were they really bothered about me working 7 days a week? Did they really care back then about me working a Saturday morning to try and make an extra couple of £100? No, none of it mattered. And I look back now and I think, Craig, what an absolute fool you were. And this holiday that I'm just talking about now, about Crete, you know, my 2 youngest daughters, 13 and 19, have come with us. But my 19-year-old daughter now is at an age now where she's got her own life, and that is probably going to be the last family holiday she'll come on with us, because no doubt she'll be going away with her mates or a boyfriend or whatever they decide to do. That's it. That time's gone. And I've got a 13-year-old daughter my youngest, that I want to spend as much time with as I can. And at 13-year-old, if you've got a teenager, you know that they don't want to spend time with you. Particularly girls, they don't want to spend time with their dads when they're 13. Lads may be going to football, but not necessarily daughters. They want to be doing different things. And this holiday, I've actually been sat there and I've actually got a bit emotional, a bit upset thinking about all this, because I'm thinking all them wasted years you've done, Craig, all that stress and worry and hassle, chasing the money, chasing the next job, trading your time for money. Were it all worth it? And the answer to that is no. You do not want to be the richest person in the graveyard. You want to dedicate that time to your family whilst you can, whilst you're able, and whilst they're young enough to enjoy the memories that you need to make. And pain point number 5 is your business becomes dependent on you. Now, hear me out here. The definition of a business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that runs without you. In other words, when you look at what I've just said at the beginning of this episode, when I said I don't want to come across as Billy Big Bollocks, but I want to be honest with you, my businesses have continued to run while I'm sat round a pool, chilling out, spending that quality time with my family. Our members are being served. Events have been happening while I've been away. We've been building websites for members. We've been doing rebrands for members. We've been coaching members. All of our Rise of the Trade Summit tickets are still continuing to sell. Leadzilla's flying. Service Mates flying. Everything's working behind the scenes. Which means now I've come back and checked our bank balances. They've all gone up. Now, that is what we mean by having a business. It's a commercial, profitable enterprise that can run without you because you've got systems in place and you've got staff in place running the systems, freeing up your time to go and enjoy yourself and chill out. But it never used to be like that for me years ago because the business relied on me. I was the business because I was a control freak and I had to do everything in my business because I didn't trust anyone. Because I tried employing an admin person and it didn't work. I tried employing a foreman or a general works manager and it backfired. So here's me thinking, do you know what? While I've tried this in the past and it's not worked, if I just continue to do it, yes, I know I've got to do everything, but at least I know that it's going to get done and it's going to get done correctly. Now, while ever we've got that mindset, the only thing that's starting to happen is your working hours are going to go through the roof. And you've only got 168 hours in a week to get everything in. To get your business in, the work within your business, working on your business, family time, hobby time, downtime, me time, all that time that you're investing, you've got to fit into 168 hours in a week. And I'm sorry, but if you're working more than 40 hours a week in your trades or construction business, you are not going to have enough time for you. And that's exactly what this episode is all about. Having some you time, having some me time, having some downtime. But the only way you're going to get that is by implementing all of the strategies that I share inside these episodes. In terms of number one, getting your marketing right to generate your leads. So you're not reliant on generating the lead. Your website, your social media, your video marketing is generating your leads. The leads then come into the systems, whether that's ServiceMate or Leadzilla or any other that you're using, maybe Tradify, Commusoft. But you need systems in your business to cope with the leads that come in. Then once the leads have come in and been vetted, they need passing on to another member of staff to deal with the quotes, to deal with the invoicing, to deal with the paperwork and all the admin and the communication between you and that customer. Then once that job's been booked in, the job gets handed to your team and they go and hang the door, fit the roof tiles, fit the solar panels, fit that patio, start digging out your foundations. The team go and do that. And then any jobs that are coming to an end, your referral strategy kicks in. So right at the very end of the job, you get paid. The customer gives you a 5-star review. The customer gives you a video testimonial and you present them with your referral strategy to go and win you more work and turn that customer into a salesperson. Are you with me? And everything I share in these podcasts is designed for you to do that. Now, when we start to implement what I'm sharing in these podcast episodes, you then start to get a business that starts to run without you. But if your business is always going to be reliant on you doing all of that, then you're going to struggle to take time out of your business, because if you stop, there's no money coming in. The business relies on you. It's dependent on you. Now, when I did that for 12 long hard years, All of these 5 pain points that I'm talking about now were me. All that lot happened in them first 12 years. And it were only when I realised that I have to start taking time out of my business and reinvest that time into putting in the right marketing strategy, bringing in the right systems, employing the right staff. When I started doing that, the business started to run without me doing everything, giving me a bit of time back. And if you don't do that, you are just going to be what I call the ultimate busy fool, which is what I were for 12 long hard years. And you'll become a prisoner in your business because you can't take any time out because everything grinds to a halt. And a podcast episode that I want to share with you, that I want you to go and listen to at the end of this one, is episode number 24. And I call that the 5-step blueprint on how to grow a trades or construction business the right way. And inside that episode 24, I give you the strategy of what you need to do to not be a prisoner in your business and start to build a business that's a commercial, profitable enterprise that runs without you. Now let's flip it and let's look at the positive outcomes of you taking time out and time off of your business. Even though you might be terrified of doing it now, even though you might be where my mindset used to be years ago, I can't take a day off, Craig. I can't take a week off to work on the business or just literally go and sort my head out. I can't because I need the money. If I'm not earning, can't pay my mortgage. I get that, but until you do something different, nothing's going to change. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different result. So if you do feel trapped in your business, if you do feel you can't just take off for 3 weeks on holiday, whether you haven't got the money to do it, whether you don't think you've got the time to do it, or the right marketing or systems or team, then if you don't dedicate time to sort that out, nothing's going to change. And the more that you continue to grow your business while all these mistakes are happening, the more you're going to become a prisoner. But it doesn't have to be that way. So let's look at the positive outcomes of what will happen when you start to give yourself some time out. Instead of burning out, once you've had time out like I've just had, I've come back now and it's game on. I am sharper, I'm more focused. There's going to be less mistakes happening with me and my team. Why? Because I've given myself some headspace to identify what's been happening or maybe going wrong. And now I'm come back, it's like, it's game on. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to change. And instead of poor decision making, you've got time now, you've got some headspace, you start to see opportunities clearly. Those new ideas, they often come when you're sat chilling on a beach, or you're walking your dog, or you're in the gym, or you've just gone for a walk. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you're not working and thinking about work. But then these opportunities start to pop up. They start to appear, such as, I'm sat there thinking, right, we've already built one green screen video and podcast studio. We need to build another one. But then when we build another one and even more leads come in, we need people to deal with them leads, which is why I'm saying now on my organisational structure, now is the time to bring in a salesperson, someone to deal with all the leads and enquiries. Now is the time to bring in another social media manager, because if we're going to be generating even more leads than we are now, we're not going to be able to cope. So now I'm starting to think about employing more staff. So the bigger picture starts to unfold. I'm not going to make classic mistakes that I've made in the past. Instead of damaging your health, damaging your body, you start to protect it. You start to cut down on the alcohol. And now, I cannot honestly say I'm alcohol free. With 3 years in on Boxing Day coming up this year, I'll be 3 years without a drink of alcohol. I've not touched a drop. I've given it up completely. And I'm telling you now, I can tell you from first-hand experience everything about giving alcohol up. And I know there's going to be some of you go, I can't do that. I won't be able to function. I like a pint. I like a drink. Listen, so did I. But I knew that at 50, coming up to 55, things had to change. So I decided, right, I'm going to stop drinking alcohol completely. I look 10 years younger. I've got more energy than I've ever had before, right? My head's clearer. I've got no hangovers. It don't take me 3 days. If I went out on a session with my mates on a Saturday after match and we went for a good gargle, I get up on a Sunday morning hungover, but it'd take me till Tuesday to get over it. That's 3 or 4 wasted days. All that lot's gone. You can get up earlier. You get better sleep. You start to eat better. You then go and join a gym or do some exercise. You're up earlier in the morning. You've got a better morning routine. You're starting to prioritise your health, your exercise, and all that lot reduces stress and gives you more energy levels. Instead of broken relationships and emotional roller coasters and snapping at your kids or treading on eggshells with your husband, wife, or partner, when you start spending time with them, you build stronger relationships. That love, that affection starts to come back. Your kids are now starting to get memories and enjoy the time with the mum or the dad. No excuses. You're fully present with them all the time. It's not like what happens probably now where you're Saturday evening and you're all in a room together, but you're not present really, are you? Because your head's somewhere else. And your kids might talk to you and you're just blanking them because you're thinking about work. All that lot disappears. Your partner, your husband, your wife starts to feel valued. They're not second best anymore to the business. And when your home life and your relationships are all going according to plan, everything just has a lift on it. Everything, the world and life just seems so much better. And instead of building that business that can't function without you, you implement all these strategies and you start to build a business that starts to run without you, allowing you to take maybe an afternoon off a week, or maybe a little bit extra time throughout the month, or maybe you can then go on holiday for a week with your family and submerge yourself in that time and valuable time with them without having to deal with emails and text messages and customers. We can start to build a business that starts to run without us. And that then starts to give us what I call time and financial freedom. And ultimately, that's what we're all working towards. If we were time and financially free, then we've got more choices on what we want to do with his time and where we want to spend his money. And all that is, I would suggest, is going to make you slightly happier. I'm not saying that the more money you've got, the happier you are, because that's not the case. There's people out there that are multi-millionaires that are sad and lonely. But if you get to a point where you've got enough profit coming into your business to fund the lifestyle that you want or you choose, and you've got some time free to invest that money into doing things what you and your family want to do, then ultimately that's going to make you and your family happier. In this chapter, I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 practical ways that you can build some me time and some time out in your business and in your life. And I'm going to show you how I actively implement these 5 different time out or me time strategies into my life and into my business. And it all starts off with you having what I call a default diary. Write it down, default diary. Now, a default diary is where you are going to plan all of the time in your personal life and, as important, in your business. You see, you've probably heard me talk about default diaries on a regular basis. And if you're in our growth club or in a circle, then you'll know exactly what I mean. But a default diary works like this. It's a digital diary. So it could be a Google diary, an Apple diary, an Outlook diary. So it's an online calendar, an online diary. And what we do is at the beginning of every year, albeit you could start it now, don't have to be in January, but usually January, you say, right, what are all the things that I need to put into my default diary that I have to do every 12 months, every 6 months, every quarter, every month, every week, every day? Because these tasks or these activities have to be done throughout that year. Now, let me give you a quick example. It could be, right, what do we do every year that's going to take time? And that could be something as simple as, well, we've got to sort our vehicle insurances, right? Or we've got to sit down with our health and safety company and go through all those risk assessments and RAMs and method statements or whatever. Right, you know it needs to be done, so go and find the time in your diary and put that in now and go and block it out. Then set it as a reoccurring event to happen every year moving forward. Something that might happen maybe every 6 months. And that could be that you review all the systems and all the procedures in your business to make sure that has anything changed? Does anything need updating? I don't know, that might take you a week every 6 months to do. Right, go and block that week out. Something that you might do every quarter might be VAT returns, as an example, or your quarterly management meeting with your accountant. Right, it needs doing, block the time in, set it as a reoccurring event. Something that happens every month, and that could be you have a team meeting every month. That could be you look at your profit and loss statement every month and you look at the finances in your business. All right, go and block that time out. It needs doing, so go and do it and set it as a recurring event. Right, what happens every week? Well, every week I've got to pay wages. Every week I've got to plan my labour for next week's jobs. Right, needs doing, so go and find the time in your diary. What do you need to do every single day? You might be, well, I have to check my emails every day. Right, go and put the time in the diary to check the emails so you're not doing them sporadically through the day. Because let's face it, unless you're an e-commerce business or an emergency repair like a locksmith or emergency plumber, nobody should be checking their emails more than twice a day or dicking about on social media at random times of your day. Go and put it in your diary and stick to it. Now, this default diary then, you start to plot on all the things that you need to do to run your business. But at the same time, the default diary has to have all of the me time or downtime activities added into it. So for example, what I do every beginning of every January is the kids have 13 weeks holidays a year. So what I do is I go and book those 13 weeks off throughout the year, giving me the choice at that time what I want to do with my time. So for example, the 3 weeks we've just had off now throughout the summer, they've been booked out. We've got at the end of October, kids are off for another week. Right, that's booked out in my default diary. At the end of September, me and Sarah, my wife, I'm taking her to Norway, to Oslo in Norway every September. We have a long weekend away with our kids. That's booked in. Are you with me? Date night. You might want a date night every 2 weeks with your husband, wife or partner. Right, book it in. My gym sessions and my PT sessions 4 times a week. That goes into my default diary. So all of the hobbies, all of the me time, all of the downtime, all of the holidays, anything that you want that we've been talking about in this episode, you've got to go and put it into your default diary. Because if it's not in your diary, you're going to... that date night that you should be spending with your husband, wife or partner, you know that you were going to do it on Wednesday, but actually I've got an inquiry that's coming and I could go and potentially look at that job on Wednesday at 7, which means I can't do my date night. Now you're putting your business before your me time. Do you get what I'm saying? So my default diary runs my entire life and runs my entire business because I've only got 168 hours in a week like you've got, but I want to make sure that I can run my 4 businesses and still have me time and downtime every single week for me. So I go and plan the time in to my diary because my me time, my downtime is more important than me having a Zoom meeting with someone who wants to join my inner circle. Are you with me? Time is more valuable than money. I can always make you more money. What I can't do is make you more time. So you've got to be more efficient on how you're investing your time. And for that, you need a default diary. Now, what I want you to do, again, at the end of this episode, is go and listen to episode number 4. Because in episode number 4, I go into a lot more detail about how to create a default diary to get super organised, get more productive, and get more done in less time. So that's episode number 4. But the first thing I do is I put all this time that I want to invest into my default diary, and all that time personally to me, whether it's a hobby, gym, holiday, afternoon off, whatever I'm doing, goes in ahead of anything to do with my business. Because I don't live to work. I work because it pays for my lifestyle. My lifestyle and my time is more important than the business time. Are you with me? So the me time goes into my default diary before anything to do with my business goes in, because I am more important than my business. So here are the 5 different, let's call it me time downtimes that I put into my default diary religiously, and I do one of these 5 things all the time, and I'm going to suggest that you do the same. Now, you might find it a stretch too far just yet to do all 5. And I'm not saying you've got to do all 5. These 5 work for me in my life where I'm at right now, where I've got kids that are older, so I've not got young kids to attend to. So my lifestyle is what I'm saying is completely different to other people. So this works for me now. Wouldn't have worked for me when I had young kids. I'd have done some of this, but I wouldn't have done all of it. But if I give you all 5, you've got a choice then. And you might say, Craig, I can't do all 5 now, but what I can do is I can do that one. Brilliant. That's an amazing start. Let's get that one into your default diary. And who knows, a couple of months later, you might say, do you know what, Craig? I've been consistently doing that one, and now I feel I've got the time to do another one. Brilliant. Let's bolt that one on then. But here are the 5. Write these down. Number 1, take a half-day weekly recharge. A half-day weekly recharge. And what I mean by this, every single week, remember, I said a default diary, you have to put things in it that you do on a weekly basis. Well, every week, I pick one afternoon that's my time. And during that time, I can do whatever I please to do. It's 4 hours. It's an afternoon off. Your business is not going to go into liquidation, is it? If you take 4 hours off, but dedicated for you, where all distractions are switched off, and that could be anything. I could go to the gym. I enjoy marketing and video marketing and podcasts. So I enjoy watching other people's YouTube channels. So I might say, do you know what? I'm going to go and binge a couple of podcasts. And I might want to go and do that. I might go for a run. I might just go for a walk. I might just sit in house and do something. But it's my time, and I protect that time like I protect my best customer. And it's just 4 hours once a week where I can switch off and do what I want to do. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is perhaps think about what day of the week, and I have mine set every single week. But you might say, I can't set it because depends on what I'm doing work-wise. All right, don't set it then. But at the beginning of every week on a Monday morning, find the space where you're going to take that time off and just take 4 hours off, take an afternoon off and do what you want to do for you. Number 2, I call it 1 day a month of thinking time. 1 day a month of thinking time. And what I do is every month I'll take a full day off. Now, this day is not for admin or anything like that work-wise, but I use it for the big picture. Because again, there's times where we can all get too busy and we're just dealing with what's happening in front of us rather than looking at the big picture. And just like I've done now while I've been away in Crete, I've got the big picture and that's going to see me through for another month. But then next month, when I take a day off, I'm going to take myself out and I'm going to come on to where I go and what I do in a sec. I take a day off and I just go on my own and I take a notepad and pen. I don't take my phone. My phone's switched off. And what I do is there's a rock that I go to visit. I know this might sound a bit strange, but bear with me. So I live in Sheffield on the edge of the Peak District. And in the Peak District, there's a famous sort of like a famous place called Burbage Edge. And on you can park your car in car park, usually an ice cream van in car park. And then I put my backpack on, take my notepad, take my pen, and it's like a 15 to 20 minute walk from car park up to Burbage Edge. And then there's a massive rock. And when you sit on this or stand on this rock, you can see for like miles over Peak District and all over Surprise Valley and everything. It's absolutely stunning. So as long as it's not pissing down with rain, I'll take myself up there once a month. I'll go, park car, get an ice cream, get my backpack on, leave my phone in car, and then I'll 20-minute walk to the top, sit on what I call my magic rock, and I just sit there with my notepad and pen overlooking this valley, just thinking, just long-term vision and thinking of what I'm doing, where I'm going from a personal point of view, me, health, fitness-wise, what am I going to be doing? What do I want to achieve long-term? For my family's, wealth, I'm constantly thinking about where I can invest my money for generational wealth. I'm constantly thinking about my businesses and I just sit there doodling. But I'm telling you now that I walk back to the car and as I'm walking back to the car, I set myself some action tasks because it's all right thinking about stuff, but if you're not going to take action. So I eat my ice cream on the way up. I do my day or half day or whatever I choose, 2 hours up there, spending time getting all these ideas down, and the 20-minute walk back, I have to write down the actions that I'm going to take. Now listen, if it's a beautiful day, I might spend 6 hours up there. If I get up there and it becomes a bit cold and it looks like clouds are coming in and I've only been up there for 2 hours, then I'll come back. But at least I've put that time in the diary and I've got a choice. Number 3, write down long weekends every 2 or 3 months. A long weekend. And I'm not just on about bank holidays. Like today, it's bank holiday Monday. I've just got back and I'm like, I need to get a podcast done before Wednesday. So I'm not on about just bank holiday weekends, but let's face it, thinking about bank holidays, unless you're trading your time for money, most people look forward to having a bank holiday Friday or bank holiday Monday off and it's a long weekend and you enjoy it. And because they are set in the government's timetable, whereby every August, as I'm recording this, you have a bank holiday at the end of every August, that's like a default diary. It's default. You get that all the time. We have spring bank, don't we, at Easter, where we have some bank holidays. So because they're in, you take them. So you can do this. It's just that you're not putting any more in other than the standard bank holiday weekends that the government give us. Well, that's nonsense, innit? As part of running your own business, you've got a choice of where you spend your time and how much time you have off. So what we do is, as a family, every 2 to 3 months, we will have a long weekend where we'll go away and we might pick my youngest daughter up from school on a 3 o'clock on a Friday and we'll book somewhere and we'll go away for the weekend. And then we'll get up on a Monday morning, come back Monday morning, get her back to school, and it's a weekend away with family. And this don't have to be expensive. You could go camping, you could stay in a caravan. It's entirely up to you what you do. But we make a conscious effort of going away as a family for a long weekend and not just rely on bank holidays. But also twice a year, me and Sarah, we want to get away for a long weekend. Just us two, for our relationship more than anything. So what happens is, in March and end of September, we'll book a weekend away. And it's usually a city break somewhere. So as I've already said, end of September coming up, we've got 4 days in Norway, in Oslo. And we'll look forward to that and we'll spend time together doing that. And again, my kids are a bit older. Again, remember what I've said, this might not work for you now. You might have got young children and you've got no one to have kids. I get that. But for us, where we're at right now, that works for us. So twice a year, as well as our summer holidays, we'll have 2 weekends away where we go and visit somewhere, just us. And that goes into our default diaries. Long weekends away. Number 4 is what I call digital detox days. Digital detox days. Now, what I do is once a month, right, I'll have a digital detox day, which means everything that day gets switched off. No emails, no WhatsApps, no text messages, no social media, nothing. I switched the whole lot off for a day. And listen, this is harder to do than you think because of how reliant we've become and how addicted we've all become to us phones. And we are, let's face it, we are. But I have 1 day a month where I go, right, detox day. And I'm telling you now, and I'll admit, some days I do a bit of work, right? I'll do a little bit of work, but I don't check emails or texts or anything like that. I'll choose to do it. But otherwise, I'll just switch everything off and get rid of all that distractions and all that noise and all that fake shit that you see all over social media and everybody claiming to have the perfect life, right? I get rid of all that nonsense for a day and just give me head a rest from that screen time that I'd normally have. And number 5 that goes into my default diary are, let's call them proper holidays, right? Holidays, whether that's a week away, whether that's 2 weeks away, or if you feel as though you can afford time and money to go longer, I believe we've got to get holidays in, right? And yes, I understand that not everybody can afford to go away on family holidays and abroad. I get that, and neither could I. At one bit, neither could I. But I've wasted so much time over years. And if you listen to some previous podcasts I've done, you'll know that I've had holidays booked to Lanzarote, paid a deposit, and then not had enough money coming in to be able to afford to pay the rest of the holiday off. So we've paid the deposit, we've lost us money, having promised my kids I'd be taking them to Lanzarote and didn't have the money to be able to go. Now I have the money, it's a default that we go on our family holidays, right? So for me personally, we go away for 10 days. Again, it's defaulted 10 days in Easter holidays. We'll usually go away for 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer through the summer holidays, as we've just done now. And the October week, when kids are off in October, usually we'll go to Canaries or somewhere like that for a cheeky week away while kids are off for end of October. But we give ourselves that time for all the benefits that we've talked about in these episodes. Now, again, they're the 5 things that go into my diary, right? I'm not saying you've got to put all 5 in. What I am saying is if you've got none of them 5 in, which one are you going to put in to start with? And it might be, do you know what? I'm just going to take an afternoon off or a morning, whatever you choose, a week to start off with. Right, do that, put it in your default diary, and when that becomes a good habit, what can you do next? Or you might say, actually, Craig, what I might do is I might take 1 day off a month for that big vision thinking time. and I might have one detox day off a month, and combine them two together. And then you've got two things happening. But again, as I've reinforced throughout the whole of this episode, we have to be investing time into us. Because let's face it, there's so many people relying on you right now. There's your family relying on you to make this work. There's your employees and subcontractors relying on you to make this work. There's you relying on you to make this work. But if all we're ever going to do is work, and not have any time to invest into us for that downtime that makes us happy, that gives us a bit of breathing space, if we're not going to do that, we're going to really, really struggle to get our businesses to where we want to be, because we're going to start to make them mistakes that are going to creep in. We're not going to have any headspace, as health as well-being is going to go down pan, and then we're on a negative spiral. And nothing's going to change unless you set dedicated time to one side to make that conditional change. Now, what I'd love you to do, now you've listened to this, is just make that decision. Out of them 5 areas, which one or 2 maybe you're going to start with. And I would love you to come over to either our free Facebook group and community. Tell me that you've listened to episode 78 and let me know out of them 5 which ones you're going to start on. Or if you're a Growth Club member, come into our Growth Club and school community and tell me in there, because I'm interested to know, and then I'll come back and I'll respond back to you on your post. Now, if you're not a member of our thriving and free Facebook group and community, I'll leave a link in the show notes and the comments and description of this episode. And likewise, you might have heard me talk about the Growth Club and what that is. Well, if you're interested in finding out more about the Growth Club and working with us on a more one-to-one basis, then again, click the link in the show notes and that'll take you over to find out more about you joining our Growth Club. The final thing I would ask you to do, if you would please, is whatever platform you're listening to this episode on, whether that be on YouTube or whether that be on maybe Spotify or Google or Apple Podcasts, could I please ask you to subscribe or follow this podcast? And this will massively help us, because the more followers and obviously subscribers we can get, the more that platform then is going to push our content out to more tradesmen and women that might need our help moving forward. And final reminder, again, if you want to come to our Rise of the Trade Summit in Sheffield, where you're going to get a full day coaching, networking, motivation, meet me and all my team and our fellow Inner Circle and Growth Club members. The link's in the description of this episode as well. And remember, for things to change, you have to change, or all you'll ever have in your pocket is change. I'll catch up with you on next week's episode, and I'll meet you at the top. Thank you.